all hell is breaking loose in the House of Representatives on the disastrous budget bill. Folks, as of now, it does not look like MAGA Mike Johnson and Donald Trump have the votes to pass the disastrous budget bill. Right now, they're voting on what's called the rule. It is the precursor to actually voting on the budget bill. They have to clear two hurdles. First, they have to approve the rule. Then they vote on the budget bill. If you can kill the rule, you can kill the budget bill. Already, 4 MAGA Republicans have voted against the disastrous budget bill. And what's happening right now, as I'm recording this, MAGA Republican Thomas Massie, who originally voted for the rule but was going to vote against the budget bill, he just switched his vote as I speak from a yes to a no on the rule. Now we have 5 MAGA Republicans voting against the rule. This would kill the bill if it stands. MAGA Mike Johnson is keeping this rule vote open. Already, it is the longest vote in the history of the House of Representatives. Folks, this is humiliating to Donald Trump and MAGA Mike Johnson. Indeed, Jake Sherman reports, wow, Thomas Massie is changing his vote on the rule. He just switched from a yes to a no. Also, who's voted against this? Clyde, Fitzpatrick, Self, Spars, and still about 8 or 9 members have not voted. MAGA Mike Johnson can only lose 3. The moment he loses 4 MAGA Republicans, this bill could be killed. Now, MAGA Mike Johnson, I guess, is hoping that Donald Trump will call and extort and excoriate and scream and yell and threaten the MAGA Republicans to change their votes. We're also hearing, again, as of this recording, things can change, that Chip Roy will be planning either not to vote or vote no. That will also be a crushing blow to the MAGA Republicans right now. What's Thomas Massie saying? Here's what Massie's saying on flipping his rule vote to no. Quote, if this goes down, it's the only vote of record. He wants his voice to be heard that he is against this disastrous budget bill. MAGA Mike Johnson just went on the record, folks, moments ago, and he said, quote, I'll keep this vote open for as long as it takes. In other words, MAGA Mike Johnson is saying he's just going to keep it open forever so Donald Trump can call and extort and scream and yell at these MAGA Republicans to change their votes. And folks, one of the things we're learning as well, MAGA Republican Congress member Fitzpatrick, he just left. He's like in hiding right now. He walked out of the House, not returning phone calls, nowhere to be found right now. What's MAGA Mike Johnson just called into Fox. He says, he goes, I've spoken to all of them, and well, 3 of the 4. I'm trying to find the 4th one because Fitzpatrick is not returning his calls right now. Let's play this clip.
Let's talk about the 4 nay votes that are on the board right now. I assume you've spoken to all 4 of them. What indication are you getting from them that they might be willing to switch?
Well, I have spoken to all of them, and well, at 3 of the 4. I'm trying to find the 4th one, but a couple of those are still waiting for some of those questions to be answered, and they're just sort of putting placeholders on the board, and you know, I think they're open for conversation. Everybody's here in good faith. Everybody wants to get to yes. Everybody wants to deliver this agenda for the people, and we're going to give them every opportunity to do that.
Okay, and MAGA Mike Johnson's now saying that he's going to keep this vote open as long as it takes. He's refusing to concede defeat right now, even though there's enough MAGA Republicans to kill the bill, hoping Donald Trump can extort them. It looks like they're about to launch a pressure campaign on Fox to try to pressure, extort, excoriate these MAGA Republican Congress members. Here is MAGA Mike Johnson saying, I'm going to keep this bill open as long as it takes. Here, play this clip.
Mr. Speaker, how long do you plan on keeping the vote open? Chad, I think he talked about the record being over 7 hours. I'll go back to him in a minute. Or, you know, are you just going to keep it open as long as it takes?
Well, I'll keep it open as long as it takes to make sure we've got everybody here and accounted for and all the questions answered. I made that commitment to my members. You know, we're in an era of Congress where we have small margins, small majorities, and that makes it by necessity a bottom-up institution. You know, it's not a couple leaders in a back room like the old days where, you know, 2 or 3 people decide the agenda and it's hoisted upon everyone else and they take orders and follow. It really is a fully participatory deliberative body, and that means bottom-up, member-driven process. I've tried to decentralize the power of the Speaker's office so much as that is possible in our system, and I think people appreciate that. They all know their voices were heard in this, and remember, we put about 14 months of work into the production of the One Big Beautiful Bill. So a lot of time, a lot of deliberation, a lot of committee hearings and meetings, and everybody's got their voice heard, and I think it's a really important part of this.
And folks, we're getting this message right now from MAGA Republican Congress member Keith Self. As Jake Sherman says, Self does not sound like someone who will be changing their vote on this bill. He goes, I came to Washington to help rein in our national debt. In negotiations with House leadership, commitments were made to ensure the One Big Beautiful Bill would include key provisions such as, and he lists a bunch of provisions. He says the Senate broke the House framework and then they stomped all over it. Now House leadership wants to cram this broken bill down our throats by rushing it to the floor while in the middle of discussions, completely disregarding their promises. And he goes, ultimately, this is an issue of morality. He goes, abiding by our word is the only thing we have. Therefore, as the bill currently stands, I voted against the rule. MAGA Republican Senator Rand Paul's chiming in, folks. He says, spoke today with House conservatives, encouraging them to add, quote, real savings to the big, not so beautiful bill, reaffirmed that I can vote to allow larger increases in debt ceiling if House attaches immediate real spending cuts, which the House is not doing. Trump is trying to ram this down everybody's throats, folks. As expected, the MAGA Republicans are going on Fox right now, and they are trying their threat and extortion campaign. This is why MAGA Mike is keeping this bill on the floor. He's keeping the rule open, even though he's lost, to try to extort and flip the MAGA Republican Congress members like the gangster that he is. This is a gangster fascist regime, folks. These are the tactics that they use. And here are those who aid and abet what they do. Former MAGA Republican Congress member Chaffetz goes on Hannity moments ago. And here's what he says. You can either vote with AOC or you vote with Donald Trump. You're never coming back if you vote against this rule. Shame on you. We're coming for you. Folks, threats have been leveled. Let's play this clip.
And so you can either vote with AOC or you can vote with Donald Trump. So don't tell me that you're a conservative if you're not with Donald Trump. That's not going to fly. You're never coming back, and shame on you. And you get on that plane and try to go home and try to tell everybody, oh, I stood tough. Yeah, I got these big Instagram muscles. Look how tough I am on Twitter. Well, you don't support the president. That's just not going to fly.
Clicks, Jason. Everyone's looking for a click.
And now here's Chaffetz again. He goes, Trump is right about everything. He's never wrong. You've got to vote with your daddy Trump, he says. He doesn't say daddy Trump, but that's what they call him. Here, play this clip.
That's the best the Senate could do. And you're going to hold up the president's agenda. President Trump, you rode every single coattail he had. You rode President Trump's wave to get into office. You took pictures with him. You bragged about him. You've touted him. Now the president is saying, this is my signature piece of legislation. He's been there less than 6 months in this term, Sean. Has he been wrong on anything? He hasn't been wrong on anything. What he's done in terms of tariffs, tackling inflation, all the safety and security, going after trying to lock down and secure the border.
Okay, here's Chaffetz again. He goes, if you're one of those Republicans who are the last 3 nay votes, we are coming after you if you vote against this. Shame on you. Fox is now trying to whip the votes for the Trump regime. That's why I call it state regime media. Here, play this clip.
That's why you better get in line. This is a game right now, Sean, of musical chairs. If you're one of those Republicans that are in the last 3, because that's what it'll be, if there are 3 nay votes, you will never be involved and engaged in politics because you can't say that you're a Republican and support Donald Trump. That's the game they're playing. That's the dangerous game they're playing. And why they're messing around with President Trump at this hour, at this time, get over it. Vote yay, get on with the rule, and then vote on final passage.
I tend to agree. I think it's extraordinarily well said.
Our friend Dan Coe was on CNN moments ago. He had a great point. He goes, Trump either doesn't know what's in this disastrous bill or he's outright committing fraud. Let's play this clip.
But at some point, it has to be dealt with. Absolutely it does. And look, there's a list miles long of every Republican member of Congress who are decrying Joe Biden for adding to the deficit, who were saying that deficit reform needs to be done. Elon Musk is obviously saying it from the outside, and there's no follow-up from Republicans. And to answer your original question about what Trump knows and what he doesn't know, there's either two things here. He doesn't know what's in the bill, or he's lying to people. He tweeted out yesterday, no taxes on Social Security. That's just a lot. Right? It would cost $100 billion a year to eliminate taxes on Social Security. So he's just completely either manipulating the public like he always does, or he just has no clue what's going on.
Love this moment a bit ago, too, where Democratic Congress member Joe Neguse said, what are we doing here? We've had this rule vote open, for like 24 hours, 48 hours, 3 months. What the hell are you doing here? Play this clip.
Mr. Speaker, my understanding is that House Republicans have kept this vote open longer than any other Congress in the history of the House of Representatives. At what point will the Speaker ascertain as to whether this practice is violative of Rule 17 with respect to the order of the House, or Rule 20 with respect to the voting procedures of the House?
What the chair would tell the gentleman from Colorado is that, once again, as I said a few hours ago, that the chairman, the presiding officer, is not a historian, and so therefore cannot opine as to whether or not historical precedent is in order, or whether this will be a condition of the House going forward.
Whether or not it was violative of Rule 17 or Rule 20 for Republicans to keep this vote open longer than any other Congress in the history of the United States House of Representatives. We know for certain that this, in fact, is a new precedent that has been broken by Republicans. This is the longest. Yes, Mr. Speaker.
To the gentleman from Colorado, as was stated again several hours ago, the rule provides for a minimum time for voting, not a maximum time for voting. So that minimum time obviously is part of that rule. So besides that, the chair doesn't have any other information that he could share with the gentleman from Colorado that would be useful in this discussion.
And here is kind of how this all started, with the Speaker pro temp claim that this is a 5-minute vote, which has been going on quite literally, well, not quite literally forever, but for a long time. Play this clip.
Members will record their votes by electronic device. The chair will remind everyone in the House, this is a 5-minute vote.
So, folks, that's where we stand now. We'll keep you posted every step of the way. Keep checking back on MeidasTouch Network for the most up-to-date information. Hit subscribe right now. Thank you for watching. Check out our Substack, MeidasPlus.com as well.
Can't get enough Meidas? Check out the Meidas Plus Substack for ad-free articles, reports, podcasts, daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, and more. Sign up for free now at MeidasPlus.com.